Welcome to this week's episode of Future Fridays, where we chat about future tech headlines from the week. I'm your host, Wiz, and you can find me on Twitter at WizLikeWizard. Today we have three lovely guests who I'll each have go around and give a short 200-character intro. And we also have Yael, who's a cartoonist, who'll be live doodling with us, and you can find her on Instagram at Yalisms. So Meera, we'll start with you. You want to go ahead and give us your 280-character intro?
Sure. Thanks, Wiz. Hi, everyone. Meera Clark. I'm a consumer investor at Obvious Ventures, an early stage venture capital fund in B Corp here in San Francisco.
Awesome. Ruben?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ruben Harris. I'm the CEO of Career Karma, which is an app that matches career transitioners to job training programs so they can get high-paying jobs in tech in a year. What makes us different is we also will give you support through a peer mentorship group called a squad. We'll help you during the program, during the job search for the rest of your life.
I was on your website today. It looks awesome.
Thanks.
Vlas?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Vlas Lezin. I'm Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of the Human IPO. Have experience in banking, have experience in technology, and happy to be here.
Thank you for joining. All right. Before we jump in, just for everyone watching, all the headlines we're going to discuss today come from a newsletter I work on called This Week in Creative Tech. Each week, we share about 30 different interesting headlines from the week. Anyone watching can sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. So we'll start today off with a game. This first round is real or fake, and it's worth 5 points. And there's going to be a really awesome prize at the end for the winner. So here we've got 3 headlines, 2 of which are real and 1 of which is fake. So the job for you all is to guess which one is fake. So I'll read them out, and then we'll do rock, paper, scissors, and you'll just indicate which one you think is fake, 1, 2, or 3 at the end. So the first one here is, these gloves let you hear sign language. Second one here is, sushi meet AI. Japanese inventor's app scopes out choice tuna cuts. And the final headline is, Netflix strikes deal with the Japanese smell-o-vision company. So whenever you're ready, we'll just do rock, paper, scissors, and you'll just indicate to the camera 1, 2, or 3, whichever one you think the fake one is.
All right.
Ruben, fist up when you're ready. Nice. All right. Oh, he's going serious. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And then just hold them up. Samir, You've got 3. Vlas, is that a 2 or a 3?
2.
2. Okay, so the fake headline is in fact number 3. Netflix strikes a deal with Japanese smell-o-vision. So that is 5 points for Meera and 5 points for Ruben, starting off hot.
Love it.
Great. We'll move on to the first headline of the day. So first headline today is, moon mining could begin as early as 2025. So what this article is about is that NASA recently found evidence that the moon may actually be richer in metals like iron and titanium than anyone had previously thought. And that has accelerated interest in now starting to mine the moon. And they're saying that a project to start mining the moon could start as early as 2025. As part of this, they've come up with a legal framework called Artemis Accords, which basically promotes things like safety zones around where we may have future moon bases, and also a set of international laws that companies could adhere to when it comes to like who owns the resources and that sort of thing. The US isn't the only nation that's jumped aboard in thinking about mining the moon. Russia, Luxembourg, China, India, and even my home country of Canada also have all declared interest in celestial mining. There's companies like Planetary Resources, which is a US-based space mining firm, who believe that space mining could be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, which is interesting. But when you look at the other side, I was reading a recent World Wildlife Fund study that said that more than a third of the Earth's natural resources have been destroyed by humans in just the past 30 years. I mean, if we've done such a bad job with our planet, question to you all to kick things off, should we be rushing off to mine other planets' resources?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick things off. I guess, first of all, I feel bad for Elon's kids. I feel like when we all got in trouble, we were sent to the backyard to like weed, and they're all going to be shipped to the moon to go mine. That said, I think that a lot of this is disastrous in the way that many are thinking about mining. If it's a race for resources, I think that we are inevitably going to encounter issues. That said, if we as a globe collectively decide this is something that is harvestable, I think there are collaborative ways that countries can partner and think about what resource sharing really looks like there, because it's certainly not ours to own. I don't really think it's anyone's to own. And so the belief that whoever gets there first gets, the best pull to me is somewhat concerning. But Ruben, Vlas, curious to hear how you're thinking about things.
Well,
Go ahead.
Ruben, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick that I agree with Meera. I'm a huge believer in collaboration over competition or co-opetition. And to her point, whenever you have a big race to extract resources from another thing, it could actually not just be disastrous against human beings, but even to the planet itself. A lot of times we're just going to be trying to extract all this value for the planet without actually caring for the planet and understanding what happens if you actually take from it. And so I do think that there's a lot of opportunities in space and we should explore space, but we should do it in a sustainable way. So that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and I'm going to add a little bit of the perspective. So last October we went to the NASA in Houston and we had a conversation with one of the astronauts, and he was saying that he's obviously an American astronaut, and he first thought that the International Space Station is the worst idea ever because we cannot even understand each other. Some talking meters, others talking miles, and all of this. He said that was like the dumbest idea. The thing is going to fall down. It's going to kill all the astronauts on board. But then he said that after 20 years, it actually proven that it's actually the only way that the project of this scale can actually survive. Because when you have so many parties involved, when you have so many different players, that the one nation deciding to shut it down or walk away is actually not as critical to the success of the overall mission and the success of the delivery of the value when you do it on the larger scale through the international cooperation. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is that when I hear about titanium and iron, I'm just thinking, okay, Apollo program was like $150 billion in today's dollars, and we were able to bring 400 kilos of matter from the moon. So I think iron and titanium is not necessarily the most economically sound resources that we might mine, right? So I think on that front, I don't think it's as lucrative as it is being shown right now. However, I'm a big believer that might be actually a good thing if we can find something that is valuable. I think
diamonds.
It's really diamonds, or let's say even something more exotic. I know the tritium and deuterium is actually present on the moon, and you cannot you can make them on the Earth, but it's super, super expensive, right? But what I'm kind of excited if we can find that kind of gold, mithril, exactly. Yeah, if we can find something that is so valuable to us as a humanity, it will actually span the technology and span the development the same way as the gold rush span pretty much development of everything between west of Mississippi rivers in California. That was sparked and that was funded by that gold rush. So if we can find some kind of the gold rush on the moon and use it for the technological development and technological advancement for us as humanity, I think it's actually a great thing. But again, I doubt it's going to be titanium or iron.
And do we imagine this gold rush? Do we imagine this gold rush just being first past the post, like first one to get the gold wins it? Because Ruben, I'm all for collaboration and cooperation for sure. And Vlas, it's awesome that we've been able to make that work with the International Space Station. But it feels like when you have trillions of dollars, at stake, I wonder if the cooperation will hold up to the extent of the International Space Station. What does that look like? Who's going to own all of these resources once we get there?
So
I think one thing that's worth considering is just the exponential complexities create exponential implications as it relates to the downside risks associated with this mining. If you think about just space junk in general and the number of headaches that creates for all sorts of businesses today, it's only getting worse in terms of what's in the sky. So whether, the US is the polluter, India is the polluter, the Russians are the polluters. We all have to deal with these problems. And so I think that kind of highlights one of the biggest reasons for collaboration in this broader ecosystem, because we all are going to have to deal with this, whether it's 5 years from now or 50 years from
now. I think a lot of the points that are brought up are questions, right? Like, is there something that's worth it to be mined? The thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about is the Starlink and what SpaceX is working on with all the satellites and global internet, because most of the world is actually not connected to the internet. A lot of people don't think about that. And since that's something that's more real and we can actually quantify that based off of like internet connectivity, what happens once Elon achieves that? Are there going to be a bunch of other people that are going to try to do global connectivity in space as well? No, you already got Virgin Galactic, you already got Blue Origin, you got all these other people. I think that's when I keep thinking about the whole collaboration and competition thing, because now we're going to shoot hella things into the sky. We can't even see the stars no more, so something to think about.
Yeah. And I also, on the earlier topic, I also think that it's actually going to be interesting in terms of, our environmentalist and green agenda, right? Is that when we talk about Earth, I think everyone agrees that, we need to conserve, we need to work, we need to sustain the planet for the humanity. But when we go to the other planet, like, what's the approach? Like, if we do mine the moon and we completely trash it, what are the consequences, right? And I don't think that how we're thinking about our planet right now, how we're thinking about conservation in general on Earth will apply to other planets, because I think if there's a gold rush, again, the gold is essential. If there's a gold rush, then it's important to be prepared. That is going to be completely uncharted territory. And what you said about the International Space Station, it might be applicable, might be not. It might start with the research, because research can be actually as valuable. But then again, it's really, I don't think any of us can predict what it's actually going to be. Yes, we can bet. Yes, we can make educated guesses. But I'm pretty confident that as soon as we arrive and as soon as we start pulling that political and economical agenda, it's going to completely, all of our assumptions are just going to walk away.
I guess we'll find out soon. On that note, we will move on. We'll see what our cartoonist has for us for this segment. Cartoonist?
So your comment about teenagers, Elon Musk teenagers, made me think of this one. Sacrifices. What else? We have this lady. I was thinking about those moon phase posters.
Bad.
That one's so good.
And lastly, cheese. That's all I got.
Nice. Those are awesome. Thank you. Awesome. So we'll move on to the second headline of the day. This one is Apple wants your iPhone to replace your passport and driver's license. So what this article is about is a series of patents that Apple filed that would basically allow devices to store and replace the physical ID. They actually recently announced something similar with a plan to use this for car keys. So this is sort of like a step forward in looking at specifically passports, or what they mention in the patent application. But you can also imagine that beyond passports, they could use all kinds of different things like driver's license, library cards, you name it. Basically, the device would be able to securely transmit some form of ID, and it would verify it on a server and then be able to match it with whatever other information is needed. So putting it out to you all, obviously we already use our phones for all kinds of things like Apple Pay, tapping our cards for in-store purchases, making notes, banking transactions, all of that. Do you think that our devices will become an official form of identification? And what does the future of that look like?
I think they will be. I'm not sure if I actually like that idea though. It reminds me a lot of like 1984, except it's not the government; it's more corporations. And I'm excited about the opportunities for global connectivity, or like country like Estonia, right? So in Estonia, like everything's digital. You can vote digitally, you can do your taxes digitally. Like everything is digital. I think that's amazing because that would help a lot, even the current election we have here in America. But if we give an organization too much power, a lot of times, the people don't have that, right? And like you kind of like are at the mercy of somebody else, which is the problem with like putting your trust in any government. There's always that in there. So the short answer is yes. I think it will happen. Whether I like it or not, I still have not come to a complete conclusion.
I think I tend to agree with Ruben, though I guess I have a couple points to push back, in that when it comes down to something like contact tracing, I'd rather trust Apple than our government at the moment. But maybe that's just me. And so, yeah, it's daunting that a corporation owns all of this data, but better Apple than I suppose a lot of others. That said, I think going back to the Estonia point, or even thinking about India and what they've done with Aadhaar, I think what's challenging is that by linking identity to a digital ID, you at times can become exclusionary when it relates to either illegal immigrants or populations that a nation is choosing to exclude, whether they're religious minorities or otherwise. And so, sure, maybe it is, this is option 1 of 4 for ways you can identify yourself at the airport or at the bar or wherever you're going. But I don't think that this can be the only option, because you can't require someone to have a smartphone. And the fact that, we even think of this as a potential reality, I think speaks to the fact that it is easy in, the various bubbles that we live in to assume that these things are normal. And even in India or Estonia, I think that they have their own challenges as it relates to connectivity and what those devices look like. And so I think that's my biggest question surrounding feasibility, though. Again, yeah, from a convenience perspective, for me and only me, as someone that is probably more liberal with my data than many, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So I guess from my perspective, first off, I always, when, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, they came up with those wallets where you can put your phone and your credit cards and your IDs, everything in one place. I personally, to myself, I thought this is a terrible idea because I always leave my stuff everywhere. So now, like, if I leave that wallet, I'm done. Like, I have like no ways to retrieve my data. I have no ways to retrieve my credit card. So pretty much the big chunk of my life is just left with this wallet, right? So that's kind of the first thing. And then moving everything digital is a little bit like that, right? If I have all of my Apple Pays, if I have my Google Pay, if I have my Apple Passport or Google Passport, whatever that is, in that one device, what happens if I lose it, right? Then it's all connected to the Google account, or is it connected to the Apple account, right? And what is the most troubling to me, and I think, Ruben, to your earlier point, is that I think that while payment in general is sort of like a private thing, erasing this border between the government, because that the IDs and everything is the government authority, and the corporate authority, erasing this border, it's actually a little bit troublesome, because again, it's while yes, I probably trust public companies to be more effective in securing my data than the government, I still see the cases, and we saw those many times, the government pressures the technology organizations to release this data and to release everything, right? And if you think about it, like your Google Assistant or your Alexa has your phone, your voice print, your Google or your iPhone has your complete biometrics that they can predict, right? So they have everything on you, right? And that erasing of the borders between private and public and ability to use this data to someone's advantage, be it evil or not evil, is actually a little bit troublesome. So I would really like to still have the public and the private separated. It doesn't mean that those technologies could not be true. I might have like a digital ID that I can scan, that is issued by the government and processed by the government. But I don't want to mix the private world and the public world in the ownership of the data. They can be providers, but they should not be the owners of the data.
Plus, I guess that
I get
Equifax would be excluded from that list of public companies that you trust more than the government.
I mean, again, it's It's like it's I honestly when I like my personal opinion, and I'm not like a tinfoil guy, but I have a full confidence that like every kind of biometric, any kind of data I share, it's pretty much public. I know that like sooner or later it's going to leak or something is going to bad happen, right? So I'm just thinking that that's what's going to happen.
Nice. We'll move on to the second game of the day. So this one is worth 10 points. So Vlas, this is your chance to get back into the game and take a lead over Meera and Ruben. So this one is multiple choice. Here we've got a headline with a missing word and 3 options. One of the options is correct and it completes the actual headline. So the headline is Spot and Pepper robots will blank at spectator-less baseball games in Japan. So just write down which answer you think is the correct one, either play, perform, or patrol. And then just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, and then we'll all show our answers to the screen. Vlas, you ready? Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what you all have. So we got C, patrol, and perform. Okay, so the correct answer is actually perform, which means 10 points for Vlas, and he actually does take the lead. So this headline is Spot and Pepper robots will perform at spectator-less baseball games in Japan. We've seen sport leagues trying to come back and doing spectator-less games, and they've been doing fun things like filling the stadiums with stuffed animals and cardboard cutouts. This is an extension of this. This is actually the SoftBank Japanese baseball team. They're going to have 2 of their robots, Pepper, which is a humanoid robot, that white one there, and Spot, which is the one that we've seen in all the terrifying videos that looks kind of like a dog and like does crazy things. So the robots will be performing songs and dance routines throughout all the home games in July. So stay tuned and maybe we'll be able to see a clip of that. So we'll move on to the final headline for today. This one is Underground Bunker features spacious living room with glass-encased tree. So what this headline is about is a concept that a architecture firm has introduced, which is basically an underground house concept that rethinks what a concrete bunker could look like. I mean, we've all seen concrete bunkers from the movies. They're pretty sparse. They're like very utilitarian. This is like, what does a concrete bunker look like that's like amazing and livable and like not terrible to be in? So this space that they spec'd out can be built in any location at a depth of 15 meters or below and provides all kinds of comforts for its underground inhabitants. So the nickname that they've given it is Plane B. And it kind of looks like the entrance to a modern art museum or maybe a military base. But the structure is equipped with 3 different entrances, a rooftop helipad, a living space, water treatment system, a generator, a fire-resistant evacuation ring, and a garden as well. And then, of course, has all of the other things that you'd need to stay safe, like its own sewage system, ventilation system, et cetera, et cetera. So putting it out to you all, I mean, as the world continues to be in lockdown, people are starting to rethink what life at home could look like and how we can protect ourselves from the outside world and continue to live comfortably. Are autonomous bunkers like this a safe haven from the world, or are they turning us into high-tech hermits for the rich?
I've always, so Batman's one of my favorite superheroes, so I've always been a fan of underground layers. I also used to watch a lot of Scooby-Doo. So I actually have a Pinterest board with a ton of like underground layers where like you can pull up to your garage and like it'll go underground and things like that. So
I want to see that.
Yeah, you should check it out. And then there's also this article that I read in Fast Company called "The Case for Building Cities Underground," where they talk about like the Delancey Underground in New York and how like they turned the underground into like a public park. So I think about it less as like protection from like a COVID-19 and more of a way to utilize space, right? Because I think over 90% of our arable land has been taken over, right? And That's why you see a lot of like Chinese investment into Africa, right? Where a lot of the Arab land is. I've been a big fan of like rooftop gardening and things like that. I used to cover the food consumer retail sector when I was in Chicago. But when I think about underground things, I think more about like how can we provide more room to live as things get more crowded. Obviously, like some people are talking about with COVID-19, people are going to be leaving cities to go into suburban areas. How do we transform malls, maybe even college campuses now that they're all going online? And so I think there's a case for doing things underground. That's why I like what Elon's doing with the Boring Company, and like just like underground tunnels and bullet trains, especially. I think more on high speed rail, more than like living situations. So I say yes, there's a case for it, but less for like protection from outside forces. I think it's just a cool concept.
Well, I personally think that while it does look cool, I think one thing that this current pandemic and the lockdown taught us is that we, at the end of the day, we're social humans. We're social beings, right? In terms that, yes, I can survive in this fancy bunker. Yes, my family hopefully is going to be with me, right? But in about 3 months, I'm going to go crazy because I cannot get out. I cannot talk to anyone else but my family. I love them to death. But then at the same time, it's not necessarily a way to live. Yes, you can survive, but strive. I think that the point of the autonomous bunkers, I think, is a little bit exacerbated in terms of it probably has less value than people perceive it is, right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people in power just think about risk hedging, and survivalship is obviously the biggest risk. But then at the same time, I think the livelihood and the quality of the life in those limited spaces is going to be not as good as expected. So maybe, you survive for a year and then you shoot yourself because you're just miserable, right?
Yeah. Vlas says he's going to go crazy in 3 months. I'm like, I think I might already be there. So you're resilient. But no, I think it's definitely a cool looking space. I wonder if this is like the Juicero of prefabricated homes, because it seems like it's just a lot. And I don't know if it's a little over-engineered despite being beautiful. I think, yeah, it's great as a backup option if you are a billionaire and want to build a bunker. That said, I think the idea of the importance of social interaction, as well as just like straight up vitamin D, which you're probably not getting if you're below ground, are pretty important as it relates to our physical and mental health, which at the end of the day is what's driving our immunity and our ability to kind of get through this pandemic. The other thing that's missing in this space, which perplexes me, is a gym. Like, what are these people doing down there? Like, there's no SoulCycle bike, there's no mirror. Like, there is room for improvement despite the over-engineering. So, yeah, I'm kind of like, it would be cool for like a weekend. Like, if this were on Hip Camp, I would book it. But I just don't think I would necessarily build one for myself exactly.
Related to the gym situation, we have innovated a lot on the quarantine gym. So I actually canceled my gym membership, obviously, because like it's not going to be relevant right now. But like I got the Bowflex adjustable kettlebells, I got the Flybird bench, I got the resistance bands. I don't have the Peloton bike yet, but it's been working. And I also had the jiu-jitsu mats, and I train with our head of product here at the house, and so it works.
I love that.
But it's not the same as a social. You're right, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. But no, I think at the end of the day, right? If you think about, is it a viable business idea? Absolutely. Like the best perplexer of sales is greed. The second one is fear, right? And I think that as a business idea, I think it's fantastic. It looks great. It provides you a safety blanket, so to speak, in the comfort of mind. And at the end of the day, you can actually Airbnb it because there is a lot of attractions that made bunkers out of the old military bunkers, old nuclear shafts, and they popular tourist attractions. So as Meera, as you said, if I want to spend a weekend in this, yeah, why not? It's good. It's kind of cool, right? But yeah.
Only if it has a Peloton mount.
True. That's very true. That's very true.
Meera, something that Ruben took the conversation to was talking about, thinking beyond bunkers, just us thinking about society as different use of space. Have you seen any interesting technology thinking about how we can reuse space or make space more safe or comfortable through technology beyond just bunkers?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of innovation in this space, which is exciting. I think, I guess I would speak to two trends that are top of mind for me. One is renovating your existing spaces. We're investors in a company called Block Renovation, which does bathroom renovations. Those bathrooms are getting a lot more wear and tear than they're used to, as well as kitchen renovations in kind of the New York tri-state area. And so we're seeing some people take novel approaches to how you can efficiently remodel. Another thing that is interesting to me trends-wise is these kind of outdoor modular constructions or prefabricated homes, the tiny houses of sorts that people are using as offices. One company, though, is a dog or your spouse or your roommates or whoever it is, just for some peace and quiet. And so I think the way that we think about our homes, the priorities that, we have in selecting a home to rent or own are likely going to change a lot over the next couple of years. Unclear what path that'll take, but I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Awesome. All right, we'll move on to the last cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, do you have something for us?
Yeah. So I got this guy who is so happy he's just going to pretend he has no idea that it's over. And then I think the word she shed, I think is just so ridiculously stupid that I wanted to get it in there somehow. What else? There's this guy. Sorry, the handwriting is bad.
That's hilarious.
Back to your Batman comment. And then in response to Meera's comment, it just made me think of it.
Bleak, but I think that's how people are handling quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually there is a pun related to digging in that cartoon somewhere.
Ooh,
with the underground.
I'll have to think about it.
All right, so we're going to end today with the final game. This one is fill in the blank, and it's worth 10 points. Which basically means that whoever gets it will be the winner today. So this one is, we like to have fun with it. Fill in the blank. Your job is just to come up with something like really silly or outrageously funny. Basically anything that makes me giggle, and I'm going to assign 10 points to that. So the headline is, the NFL is investing big money in blank to make safer helmets. So again, just anything funny. You'll have 30 seconds to come up with it. If you happen to know the correct answer, it'll be 5 additional bonus points. So feel free to write that down as well. But I will leave it to you all to come up with something funny, and just give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
Right.
Meera and Ruben are ready. Vlas, just you left. Now you're ready as well. Okay, awesome. Let's go one by one. And whoever wants to go first can go first.
All right.
I said esports.
The NFL is investing big money in esports to make safer helmets. That's pretty funny. Vlas or Meera?
Okay, I have two options. Can I say it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is the bubble wrap. So Dana's in the bubble wrap. And then
Okay.
and then the second one is that on bench neurosurgeons.
Okay. On bench neurosurgeons. That's good.
Meera, last but not least.
And mine was venture buzzy, and I went with plant-based technology.
The NFL is investing big money in plant-based technology to make safer helmets. I like venture buzzy, so I will give you 10 points for that, which gives you a total of 15 and makes you the winner for today. The correct answer, the correct answer was, in fact, the NFL is investing big money in 3D printing to make safer helmets. Yeah, so what this article is
It's
about
not silly.
Yeah, it's not funny.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
it's not funny. We'll have to let the producer know that. So the NFL, as you all know, continues to face scrutiny over the high rate of concussions. And they came up with an awesome initiative to put it out to the masses to come up with great ideas. So they awarded something like $1.5 million to 4 different groups who've been developing different variations of 3D printed helmets. And the good news is the first versions are already way better than any of the existing helmets that they have. And they actually plan to roll out those first versions as early as July of next year, July 2021, while they continue to invest in these groups who continue to move the technology forward. So great news there. All right. So for everyone watching today, one more time, this is where you can find all of our lovely guests online. Thank you everyone for joining. And one more time, all the headlines we talked about today came from This Week in Creative Technology, bit.ly/join Future Fridays. Thank you so much, everyone. This is so fun today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Right. Thanks.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.